What's up, millennials? Today we're going to talk with a drone legend, the drone king as they call him, who's got his own channel on YouTube. Lucas, welcome. How are you doing, sir?
It's going good. It's going good. Let's get this one right this time.
Let's
Let's
do
go.
it. We've been trying a few times to get this recording going, but yeah, we had a few hiccups, but I think we're good now.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right, why don't you introduce yourself for a second first?
Sounds good. Yeah. So my name's Lucas. I live in Kansas, the heart of America. And yeah, so I started YouTube, started doing YouTube April. So I'm right at about a year right now. And I really started focusing on covering stocks. It was something that I enjoyed, something that I kind of got passionate about. And honestly, how it led me to getting involved with drones was kind of AgEagle and a few others. And I really kind of just started covering drones, whether they are publicly traded or they're non-publicly traded. I do touch on them on my channel. So super excited about all these opportunities that are coming up. I do currently work a 9 to 5 job, so this is not a full-time thing for me. Hopefully in the future it will be. But yeah, for right now, I do still work 9 to 5, come home. I'm a dad and a husband, so I have kind of
It's a
three
busy
jobs.
life.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So what do you
But
do
yeah,
for a job, at the 9 to 5 job?
yeah. So I do physical security for a business that's in Kansas City, Missouri. So I do switch back and forth from Kansas and Missouri. And kind of how I got there is, I started teaching out of college. That's my career path that I chose. I was teaching computers, kindergarten through 5th grade, and it just really, I realized that I enjoyed it, but I didn't like the system and how it worked. So I decided to join the military, became a military police officer, and from there is how I kind of led my path to where I'm at today when it comes to my job. So yeah, physical security, but hopefully at some point, with doing YouTube and doing interviews with CEOs and companies like that, maybe at some point this can become a full-time job.
I definitely think so. Yeah, I've listened to a few of your interviews, and those are all great. I'm trying to actually get in contact with a few of the CEOs myself, but so far I'm having quite a difficult time, especially with AgEagle, for example. I'm not sure if they're actually if they're actually looking at my emails, but so far no luck.
Yeah,
How's that for you
with
been?
yeah, with AgEagle, I think because of the non-disclosure agreement,
Right.
they're not wanting to do anything that's significant. I've sent an email too, and I think it just goes to the PR section, and then that's where it basically goes the rest. So
Yeah, that's right.
um, yeah, I just think that with the non-disclosure agreement, they don't really want those questions to come about, or even the idea of it, so they just are avoiding them.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about AgEagle later on, but first I'd like to know you as an investor. When did you start investing?
So yeah, I actually I would say fully have been investing for right about over right at 3 years, I'd say.
Okay.
Um, and how it all started really is a guy that I work with. There's technically two guys that I work with. The first one though is anytime someone gets hired on, he sits you down and walks you through, hey, if you were to invest this much as a percentage into mutual funds, um, this is where you would be by the time you're supposed to retire.
Right.
And he really emphasizes on, if you're putting, like, just say 10%, for example, if you put 10% back each year, our company matches, then this is where technically you should be at. And so he really kind of focused on the fact that retirement is extremely important. I knew it was, but at the time I was 20 something years old, and I really didn't think anything of it. And so then my really good friend that I worked with at a previous job came over and started working there, and he was telling me all the stocks he had been investing in. And so then I really started taking it seriously as far as like paying attention to some stocks, and that's kind of how it really all started.
So,
Um,
so if you look at your portfolio right now, what kind of stocks do you own at this moment? Is it
so I
mostly
do
drones or
well, so I have 41 holdings in my
41?
portfolio, 41,
Okay.
and it's very diversified in as far as like everything that it could potentially be in. So, I mean, you're talking everything from the Dow 30 all the way to OTCs.
Right.
Um, I do have a significant portion of drones, but I also have an array of different electric vehicle companies. I do have like Apple, some of those more consistent plays in there as well. So yeah, it's a very, um, I would say honestly, what built the entire portfolio was Apple. When I first started and was able to really get the idea of individual stocks, I was like, I just want to load Apple, load Apple, load
Yeah.
Apple, and that's what I did. And then obviously in it would have been 2018 or 19. We had that just steady run for Apple, and it just seemed like every day it was like a 1%, 2%, and really that's kind of how I built the portfolio. I didn't really sell a whole lot, um, but I would sell enough to where I could, compound other things, and it really turned into what it is today. I didn't, I don't add money into this outside of just what my paycheck provides to it,
Mm.
but yeah, I've built it up to what it was, and if we didn't actually have a significant collapse like we've had in the last couple months, then I'd be pretty confident where I'm at.
Because right now you are less confident because of the drop, or what's happening?
Yeah, with kind of just everything that was mixed. I mean,
Right.
OTCs. I'm kind of involved with a lot of OTCs right now,
Okay.
and OTCs. Obviously, we know how that it's a very risky play.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so yeah, that kind of happened, and then we're really just kind of having an influx. There's a lot of just news that's going on, obviously, with the stock market and just stocks in general, and so everything's just kind of up and down all over the place. So
Yeah.
it's not that I would say I'm I guess I should have worded it different. I'm still very confident. I've posted that quite a bit. I'm extremely confident in everything I'm involved with. It's just I don't know from a day-to-day basis what to expect from certain things. So
Yeah, I suppose you're mostly long-term holder anyways, so
yeah,
probably it
and
doesn't
that's
really matter what happens in a few weeks or a few months' time, I suppose.
correct. And yeah, that's kind of the vision I've taken is when I started, I was like, I wanted to be a long-term investor. I
Yeah.
tried very early on doing some of the um not necessarily day trading, but a little bit more swing trading.
Hmm.
And with still working 9 to 5 and having to pay attention to what's going on there, it got kind of challenging to just keep up with
Yeah.
that. So that naturally became my style was long term.
So if you have 41 holdings, what are you looking for exactly in those companies you own?
So like certain ones, I'm looking for more the company to develop, progress into really kind of what they're forecasting it to become.
Okay.
A perfect example I'll give you is LTNC, which is the ticker symbol. And originally they were like a blue collar leasing company. So they would lease out the workers to people for like construction or contracting and things like that. They transferred over to where they really changed up the whole business model and got into hydrogen infused
Hmm.
drinking water, like water we would
Really?
drink.
All
Yeah,
right.
and it became very significant. And with that, they've constantly built it up, and done. They're doing really well. They went and got a partnership with H2 for Life,
Hmm.
which is another water company, and they're coming out with new products. They're getting professional athletes, Olympic athletes, and so I'm seeing these companies develop, and I want to see them kind of become what they're going to become. So,
Right.
some of those 41 holdings are like electrical vehicle companies, and right now electrical vehicles are still being developed themselves. I mean, we know drones are still being the whole idea of a drone is still being developed. So a lot of them are long-term plays for me. And as far as like when to even cut ties or shave some, really I'm just seeing some things through, honestly.
Good, good. I've also noticed you made a lot of videos about a company I believe is called Humble.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of people seem to like those videos. Tell me a little bit about that company because I don't really know it.
So Humble is originally they started out and they a lot of people were like, what is going on? They have like a tile and construction company. And basically they use that as a shell to get to where they are. They did a merger and then they ended up basically becoming Humble. Humble is going to be ideally wrapped in a package. You're looking at PayPal, you're looking at a Venmo, but you're also looking at like Facebook, Instagram. You're also looking at an Amazon and really kind of the retail aspect. But you're looking at a lot more that is still being developed. So like NFTs,
Hmm.
they're very involved with NFTs, and all this is going to be put together into an app. And the
Right.
app actually just went live. This is going to be a very significant one just because I think you're talking, I mean, you're able to invest through it as well. And in this case, you're investing into crypto. So they're taking an ETF, they call it an ETX. And what you're doing is you're investing into crypto in that manner. And so really it's just incredible everything that they're providing. They work day in, day out. Honestly, that I mean, they talk about it through their live streams that they put on, and I mean, some of them are sleeping under their desks. So they're really
Sounds a little
putting
bit
in the
like
time.
Elon Musk in the early days of like SpaceX and Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, and
Wow.
that's a good comparison for what they're doing in this
Hmm.
manner. I just think that there's so much. I mean, they just bought a company called Tickery, and it's a ticket, basically a ticket form that if we wanted to go to a sports event, or if we wanted to go to a concert or something, we could use this app to then pay for that ticket, and it's all digital. I mean, there's just so much that is going to involve with this, and it's developing now as we speak. They're very fluent, very transparent on the how they're getting everything done. It's an incredible thing, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And I love putting videos out on it because really there's a community on different videos, and I'm sure you understand that too, because when you do videos, you start to see different people come with those videos,
Definitely.
and with Humble, it's the community is just insanely positive.
Hmm.
I mean, everyone is excited to see the growth, the opportunities that come, and when you have a CEO who is pushing for his investors, it makes it that much easier. So super excited about it for sure.
I should definitely watch more of your videos about Humble because it does seem pretty exciting to me, actually.
It really is, and that's the thing too, is it's still expanding. It's growing outside. I mean, a big portion that they wanted to target was like Latin America, and really get into more, because a big portion of what they do is exchanges. Instead of having to go to an exchange, and like for example, for me, if I were to go travel to South America, I would have to find an exchange to transfer currencies.
Hmm,
In
yeah.
this case, you don't have to necessarily do that. It can all be done through this app, all through your phone, and you can go to a local market and be able to pay them through
Hmm,
your phone and do things in that way. So
that's good.
yeah, so they're really targeting that aspect, but they're doing it internationally. It's going to be across everything. It's not just a United States based company or like a UK based company. It's literally they're trying to target everyone. So
Okay, wow. I'm going to look into it for
for
sure.
sure.
Let's talk a little bit about drone stocks because why do you invest in drone stocks? What makes it so attractive for you right now?
In all honesty, I think it truly is after doing the research, constantly finding out what the companies are involved with. I think you can see how this is going to be the future. I think you can see how drones supply more than just and most people there, they originally was recreational. People would go buy a
Yeah.
drone and they could fly it, and it was cool to take pictures and stuff like that. And that still is the case, but I think you're starting to see more things that can be accomplished at a much cheaper cost with a drone, whether you're talking package delivery, whether you're talking about delivering medicines or pharmaceuticals to whoever. You're talking about surveying from a construction perspective all the way to insurance. So instead of sending an individual on top of a roof of a house to survey and see some damage that may have been done from a storm or something, you now can send a drone up there, and they can take all kinds of pictures and do all kinds of different things, and not put an individual at risk. But then it's also could be a little bit more efficient. I just think that there are a lot of different things that you're seeing from the drone sector that are going to provide such jobs opportunities for people, because someone's going to have to be able to fly those and then read the reports and do all kinds of different things. So I just think drones are definitely going to have a significant role in the future, just like electrical vehicles. I think drones are just going to have really a major impact, and it's not just like a certain individual can be successful with it. I think it's just going to be across the board. And like you said, there's so many different opportunities
Hmm.
within the drone sector that I mean, package delivery is a massive one, but there's just so many different options, and really that's why I started to invest. And what's unique too is there's not a ton of drone companies out there that are publicly traded. They're all trying to fight and do the same thing, and some of them have gotten ahead and become public. So yeah, I just think it's a good opportunity if you're interested in that.
So if you look at the realm of package delivery, There are some people who say, like, well, why would you use drones for that if we are going to have these autonomous vehicles that are going to drive by themselves and they can deliver multiple packages at the same time at a house? Why would you use drones instead of those autonomous vehicles, do you think?
I think you're talking immediately out the gate. You're talking cost.
Right.
For that drone to make that delivery, I've seen multiple times where it could be anywhere from 3 cents to 6 cents. I'm not sure on how much it would cost an electric vehicle to do that option. Um, but also, I think what it's doing is you're not having to get stuck at a stoplight. You're not getting
Yeah.
stuck in traffic. If it's something that it needs to be done ASAP. So I'm just going to use an example for, let's say, medicine, because that is also considered a package. If you needed your medicine, there's a chance that in some strange fashion, something could cause that electric vehicle or whatever to prevent that medicine from getting there. In a drone aspect, that drone can immediately take off autonomously. It knows exactly its route. It goes right there, drops the package, and is back
Right.
before you know it. So I think that's an advantage. The cost aspect, and I just really think that it's, in all honesty, I think it's just the creativity and the idea of it. I think a lot of people are excited to see that opportunity too. So
Yeah, me too. I also think that, well, especially like you said, drones are usually a little bit faster, and nowadays it looks like people want to get their stuff as fast as possible. If you order a pizza, you don't want to wait like, well, an hour like it was a few years ago, or even half an hour like it is right now, but they want it right now, you know? They want it
yeah,
within 15 minutes at least. So I
yeah.
probably think that drones are also going to be used for that quite a bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think a lot of people are focused in on capitalizing their time, and I think time is becoming, as much as I want to say before it was an essence, it's even more of an essence now. People want to
Yeah.
be able to focus on what they want to do and get it accomplished, and not have to drive somewhere to go get something or do this. So I do feel that it's definitely going to have a significant impact from that manner, to the fact that time is so important, and the drone can easily just do what it needs to do. And the food aspect, like if I want to get a pizza, I can put an order in and the drone will be there within 15, we'll say 15 minutes,
Yeah.
however long it takes to cook, and then it's there. So I think also, drinks are going to start being a thing as well. I've seen Starbucks, I've seen everything from just a soda bottle from wherever. I just think that your quickness can be there. It's going to be extremely fast too. So
So if you look at all these use cases of drones, well, we're talking about package delivery. We've seen passenger transportation, for example, as well. We've got agriculture, for example, with AgEagle, of course. The police is using drones. Firefighters can be able to use drones in the future. Which use case of drones do you personally like most?
I'm going to say it's kind of like a two for it's a I'd have to cut it in half almost. I do
Okay.
think package delivery is going to be extremely, I would say package is 1A for sure. Package delivery, no doubt. I think that, like we've just discussed, it's a time aspect, and you're
Yeah.
already seeing that with Amazon for Amazon Prime, like next day delivery and things like that. So I definitely would have to say package delivery. Um, and I think what pushes that also is the pandemic we just experienced and are still experiencing. So I think that really is a significant piece. But my 1B is definitely going to be from a surveying perspective, whether that is an insurance perspective or that
Hmm.
is the ag perspective. Um, and the reason I say that is because I think there's a lot of money to be had within that. And when you really think about an insurance claim and how much that occurs on a day-to-day basis because of natural disasters, or in some situations we'll just say a car accident even. If someone were to arrive, send the drone up, and I've seen all kinds of different things where it can analyze, scan, and really tell you what is going on. It can take certain pictures that may
Hmm.
not be acquired from just a normal individual on the ground. I think insurance is going to have a significant role. Here in Kansas, where I'm at, we're in what they call Tornado Alley. So we do get a lot of tornadoes. I can immediately off the top of my head think of how significant a drone or multiple drones could be to collaborate together to really, go up and determine not only the damage of what was occurred, they can assess it from a weather standpoint and really give the weather people's information back, but then they can also provide from an insurance perspective, and that's one option. I mean, that's all those options are within a drone. So that's kind of why I want to do 1A, 1B. I really think
Yeah.
package delivery will be the massive revenue generator, but I can see such a significant piece for the insurance side.
Yeah, it's fun too because drones do have such like multiple use cases. It's just one drone, but it can be used for multiple use cases at the same time. You don't need to build a different drone usually for that, you know. So that
Well, and that's yeah, and that's what I'm starting to find out too as I'm doing
yeah,
these interviews and I'm doing the due diligence, is the fact that and we'll talk about, like you said, about AgEagle, but MicroSense was an acquisition, but it's more than just the lens analyzing farming. I'm hearing a lot of people say that these types of cameras are going to be attached to package delivery drones. So as they're flying and going over, they're surveying different things at the
mm.
same time. So
That's
they're
good.
doing multi uses
Yeah,
as the same time as it's doing a package delivery. So
right.
I think that's huge.
That's smart. That's smart. So if you talk about, it's a question that's tied to this. Which drone stock would you be most bullish about right now?
That it's man, that's tough. That's tough. That really
You
is.
can give a
So
1A and a 1B too.
yeah, so it on social media it seems like the Alpine 4 Holdings individuals are clashing with the AgEagle individuals.
Yeah, I've seen that
Um
too.
I really do. I think I stay very bullish on AgEagle because I like what they're doing. As far as generating as much revenue, we're still and a lot of emphasis I try to put on people is that this is still a very infant stage company. Like they're still building themselves. They don't have 100+ employees.
The whole drone
So
sector is still in its infant stage in stage two, right? So yeah, it makes sense.
yeah. So that's kind of the comparison. But I would have to say AgEagle's still my one. Right, I would say one.
Okay.
Alpine 4 Holdings would be probably my two. And then if I had to say a three, I'm looking at like Drone Delivery Canada,
Hmm.
and then that's probably where I start to throw in some of those other ones. So yeah, it's Dragonfly is probably right there too. Dragonfly's see, and that's where it gets tough because I like what Dragonfly is doing because they're doing more than drones. So yeah, what I said originally is kind of what I'll stick with.
Yeah, good, good. Okay, so the year 2030. We're all 10 years older a little bit. What is this world of the drones is going to look like? What is the drone age is going to look like in 10 years' time? What do you think?
I do think that everything that we're hearing and envisioning is going to happen.
Hmm.
Honestly, a lot of what I'm hearing and getting back from not only the interviews, but just diving in, doing research is we're from an American standpoint, we're just being held back from the FAA. We're
Yeah.
the restrictions and things like that. I've been told that no new technology needs to be developed for these things to happen. So I do envision package delivery being done. I do envision a lot of surveying, construction things being done with drones. I do think you're going to start to see drones flying on a regular basis,
Hmm.
and I think it'll be a normalcy. I think it took people a while to really accept the fact how quick and how many vans, at least in the United States. I'm not sure where you're at if it's the same way, but we see Amazon every single day and
Hmm.
just in droves. So yeah, and eventually that became an acceptance. So I think that at some point this would definitely become an acceptance. I think people will, once they start growing to the idea that their product can be delivered immediately. I think that's where it'll be more readily accepted. And then I think that's where you really start to see a lot more of the drones being happen. I think that significant piece, one of the things we'll see in that 2030 is package delivery. I think you'll see box,
Yeah.
kind of like a Valkyrie box everywhere,
Yeah.
and you'll just see that package delivery being done. A lot of probably stuff still be delivered in people's yards and stuff, but yeah, I think it happens.
Yeah, I pretty much got exactly the same future in mind with Valkyrie smart boxes all around the world, and AgEagle drones going from one place to another.
Yeah,
It's going to be beautiful to see.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the possible obstacles of drones. Do you see any potential pitfalls for drones?
Honestly, I think that they've already probably thought of everything that they could think of. I do think a big one is security, but here in the United States, that's a federal offense if you were to really mess with a drone in any type of form, or if you were to do anything drone related from a security standpoint. So I think that they've really took that into consideration. As far as, I think the very first initial kind of acceptance is people getting used to it,
Hmm.
and accepting the fact that drones will be in the air doing package deliveries and stuff like that. But as far as maybe a technology standpoint, I think enough people have put in enough time to create like safety things where if it were to maybe potentially go rogue, or it were to do something, crazy, I think that they could easily hit like a termination button, and it would, turn off and do what it needed to do. So I think I really don't envision that there's going to be too many problems, but I mean, we got to see it go full active anyway. So who
Yeah,
knows?
true. I'm not sure if you talked about this with any CEOs of the drone companies, but I live, for example, in the Netherlands. We have a lot of rain over here, a lot of wind. I can imagine that the weather can also be an impact, or it can also have an impact on drones. I'm not sure if that's the case, but do you know anything about that?
So I know from my interview with Drone Delivery Canada, that
Yeah.
was kind of a question that I asked because of the temperatures at which they, test and do a lot of their flight time in is very, very cold in the wintertime. And that's a big portion of when they test is in the wintertime to really kind of see how drones and things respond. I do know one of the things that they experienced, um, you know, in the cold temperatures was the batteries drained a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of expected. But as far as the drones performing the task, it's not a human being out there that's freezing and just, what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we're not experiencing that element. And so I do know that it was able to conduct and do what it had to do. I As far as like wind, I think that they're accounting for that, and that's something that obviously has been tested out here in Kansas, which is where a lot of the testing's done. I mean, we know Wichita, which is where AgEagle's at, is the air capital of the world. So they've been doing a ton of testing out there where we get, 40 to 60-mile-an-hour winds. And so I'm sure a lot of that testing for the wind has been done out there as well. And I'm like I said, I'm sure that they've taken everything that we're talking about in
Yeah.
consideration because, yeah, if they're expecting a package to be delivered and we'll just say it's raining and we got 25-mile winds, I think they would expect it to still be delivered and perform its task for sure. And I am starting to see a lot more boxes, like carriers being developed for weather that are attached to the bottom of the drones. So I could also see that being a positive because your product isn't getting soaking wet or
Hmm.
sitting out in the temperature. Maybe the only time it does experience elements is when it's being lowered down into the, whatever it's being delivered to. But
Right.
I think a lot of this has been accounted for and really been put to use for sure.
Probably, yeah. So, AgEagle, your option number 1A. What are your thoughts about the company, and what are your thoughts especially about the recent acquisition of Measure?
So I really like what AgEagle's been doing. I think ever since Michael Jaros has taken over, I think he's really brought in enough people around him to really have a vision for drones, not just specifically agriculture.
Hmm.
I do think that is still a very tremendous piece, and I do think there's a lot of money that can be had from agriculture. So I don't ever see it phasing out or going away. Obviously, with them getting very involved with hemp, I would put that under agriculture, and that's really Michael Droz's background is the hemp, because he comes from the Colorado of business before from Colorado where he was dealing with that. So I think that's a significant piece to him. But then obviously they have Matt Martin, and Matt Martin has a background in all kinds of military and just drones in general, and so I think that you're really starting to see a good combination of people come in with a wealth of knowledge when it comes to not only business but drones. And I think you're going to start to see this thing take off. I really like everything that they're involved in. I think package delivery is going to be significant for them, but they have the agriculture, they have the hemp, and I do think you're going to see a big portion of them as the manufacturing and assembly. If you go to their website, that's a big piece that they focus on is
Yeah.
manufacturing and assembly. So I really like that they're not a one I guess, a one focus or a one niche type thing. They encompass the entire sector, and they're willing to do that. And I think that leads it into, you asked about the acquisition. I think internally they have a checklist. There's probably some dry erase board that's, in somebody's office, and they go in there and they just check each thing off as, things happen. And, I think that the MicaSense one was a very significant checklist or a check off, because of what it provides the drones. Obviously, you're talking about the best when it comes to sensors and cameras and things like that. But then I also like Measure. You know, a lot of what Measure is going to be able to provide is, it's not going to be flashy. Some of it maybe, but it's not going to be super flashy. It's going to be more of what, the product that they're providing. So Drone Delivery Canada has something similar when it comes to like a command center type option. And that's kind of what Measure is going to be able to provide as well. Is, if a lot of these drones, it's going to provide how much battery it has, what route it's taking. Obviously the FAA has just recently passed Plan 89. So with that being said, obviously the remote ID and things like that. So a lot of what Measure is going to provide is all these tracking devices. Also, kind of from my understanding, is that it's going to help businesses with insurance. So to kind of reduce the cost of their insurance and liabilities for that, because they have this. And so I think Measure is going to provide a lot more than a lot of like the visual excitement. It's going to be more of the behind the scenes stuff. And I do think that this is something that they really needed. There's a company out there that kind of does the same thing. They have a software as a solution, and it's called RCAT. And well, that's the ticker symbol. Red Cat is the actual company.
Right. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like a
that's,
blockchain something, right? Blockchain technology?
yeah. And so that's something kind of similar, I think. And this is now within, obviously Measures now a part of AgEagle. So I think what you're going to see is that when this is all said and done, AgEagle is going to be a one-stop shop. Like, you're not going to have to go get this piece of equipment to add it to AgEagle. Like, when you're getting an AgEagle whatever, that you're getting the full product and everything that's drone related. Because now you got Valkyrie. I think that is, and that's a big piece too. I think a lot of people don't really take into consideration how significant Valkyrie is because of the amount of patents that they have on their device. That not a lot of people are going to be able to replicate it or even come close to really what they provide, because Valkyrie was so aggressive at getting those patents. So, and AgEagle is going to be not only an equity stake in them, but they are manufacturing and assembling those boxes for them. So I think that is a huge significant piece that a lot of people really kind of forget, if they're even aware of what's going on with drones, is that Valkyrie is a part of AgEagle. So I mean, there's just so much that AgEagle has done right. And I think that, as we continue to see them progressively get, further along, I think this summer we're probably going to see a little bit more. I think that they still have, some things that they want to check off that, list that I think still exist. But I think, I do think AgEagle is doing some really tremendous things for sure.
About that checklist, do you have any idea what's left on that checklist?
My thoughts would be mass manufacturing and assembly.
Okay.
Because we are aware that they probably don't have a ton of employees. And I would say a lot of those employees have significant roles, whether it is, working engineering aspect, or I just think that there's probably a lot that they're doing more specifically, and they're not there to just manufacture and assemble. So I think a portion of that checklist still has a larger manufacturing assembly company or something to that nature. And I think that they might pull one out of their hat that we're not just expecting. I think that they, from kind of conducting some of the interviews, I think you're going to see some major players come together. Some of the ones we talked about, and I could see them either working together, or I could see them potentially, combining or doing something. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens. I do think that is on that checklist as well.
What do you think about Valkyrie? Is there going to be a merger, or is AgEagle going to acquire Valkyrie? I'm not even sure if that's going to be possible for them, but
I don't think so. The reason I don't think so is I think Ryan and the team there at Valkyrie, they have such a vision on what they're trying to accomplish. and they really have got kind of connections with a lot of different people, because of them not being a drone company. They supply a solution to the drones. So I think that they're a lot more versatile if they're by themselves,
Right.
and they can supply to different people. So I could see them potentially just staying by themselves and just being an entity that helps supply to AgEagle.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So the major e-commerce company, what do you think?
Amazon.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm
Are you
still
gonna get
thinking it.
it?
I think so my thoughts are, I think Amazon is very big. I think it's obvious. But I think that they're getting so big that they have all these different avenues at which they're becoming. And I think at some point that starts to affect the stock, but it also affects the company. And they may have to eventually at some point split.
Hmm.
That's just my thoughts. So I think for them, when they're getting involved with drones, I think it would have been smart to go out and find um, a company that is doing exactly what they can expect them to do, and do it in a manner which Amazon is wanting them to do. And I think they found that, if this is Amazon, I think they found that in AgEagle. And I think that everything, if it doesn't end up lining up and it's not Amazon, I mean, they've literally done everything that ties to Amazon, and it's incredible. I mean, everything from Micah Sense being, you know, 2 minutes away from the world headquarters of Amazon, to
Yeah.
us building a facility that is, in Wichita, that is 10 minutes from two major hubs of Amazon. I mean, all the individuals that have ties to AgEagle that are now either working for Amazon or have worked for Amazon. I mean, there's just so many connections and so many different things. Like, perfect example is this, is Measure,
Right.
and some of the stuff that they've done with, they're the number one AWS. It sounds like, I was just listening to an interview from the CEO of from Measure, and he was talking about how they had a non-disclosure agreement with Walmart, but they're now the number one in that field to AWS. So, there's just so many things that you could easily link to and connect, that it leads it back to Amazon. Would I be disappointed if it's not? I would say no,
Okay.
but I do
You would
believe
not
it
sell your
is.
stocks.
No, no,
It's funny
no.
because like a few weeks ago, I came across this massive document with due diligence research about AgEagle being connected with Amazon. I'm not sure if you've seen that too. It's I believe Poker and Stocks, or Stocks and Poker. I keep messing them up, but there's like a list with like 30 pages of possible clues that it could actually be Amazon. Did you see that too?
Yeah, when I first started covering AgEagle, I got in contact actually with Poker and Stocks
Right.
through Twitter, and
Ah,
there's three individuals that really help put that together, and they constantly are updating that with all the information, all the acquisitions and everything. And it just, if you read that thoroughly and go through it, you're like, I mean, this is
yeah.
blatantly obvious, but yeah.
That's pretty insane. Okay, so the CEO of AgEagle, what do you think of Mr. Michael Drost?
When I saw we were going to talk about this, it's really difficult because we don't get to hear from him,
Yeah.
open up. We don't get to actually hear him be Michael Droz, I feel, because when we're on conference calls, when we're on quarterly earnings calls, it's very scripted, and you don't really get to hear him be Michael Droz.
Yeah.
When some of these things are, acquisitions are happening or statements are made in, filings or whatever, I think that's where you start to hear it, and you sense the pride, and you get to sense who Michael Droz really is. But I think right now we've kind of got a robotic version just because of the non-disclosure agreement.
That's true.
But I do really think, if everything that he's done under his tenure, his tenure being there, I think has done wonders and tremendous things for AgEagle. So super, super excited. I did see you did a video on it, and
Yeah.
I was interested to watch it because, like I said, I want to actually know who Michael like Drozd is, and like I want to do an interview with him. I just know that with all this stuff that's going on, from a non-disclosure agreement. I'm sure that it says like interviews can't be done. And
Yeah.
the only time I've seen him really speak publicly for the most part was this more recent hemp kind of hemp thing that they put on.
Yeah, true.
But outside of that, you just don't get to hear him just talk about the company or anything. So
Yeah, when I was preparing for that video, I was trying to find interviews with Droz, not even when he was a CEO of AgEagle, of course, but also when he was working at different companies, because he's got an insane list of companies he's been working for. There's like no video, no interview, nothing whatsoever. So it's really difficult to find information about him apart from his LinkedIn profile. It's pretty insane.
yeah, and that's I think that's for a reason. I think that with the drone sector doing what it is, I don't think it's necessarily that they want to disappoint, but I think that there's just so much that has to line up in order for it to happen, that I think that they probably would rather keep it this way. So
Yeah. I kind of think that he's this like businessman who's trying to make a very small company very big in a very short amount of time, So
yeah.
from like 1 million in revenue to 50 million in dollars in revenue within like 5 years time, and then leave and go to another company, do exactly the same thing all over again.
I'm kind of curious because he really has assembled a pretty solid, executive leadership around him.
Yeah.
And they are very, the ones that he was able to get, like a perfect example is Matt Martin. Like Matt Martin is the vice president of operations at AgEagle, and I think his knowledge of, just an understanding of aeronautics and how that whole entire thing works, I think you got a master at what he does, and for him to then be able to pass that on to the people that are working there, I think is extremely, extremely significant. So he's really, I don't know Michael Droz, how much he even, knows when it comes to drones. I would assume he has to know some, but he may not know a ton about it. He just is a very good business person, and he's able to go out and get the people he needs to make this a very effective company. And I think he's done that from, everything from PR to, like I said, Matt Martin to anyone else that is a part of that company now. So
Yeah, I totally agree with that. By the way, if you let me know when you have like more time, if you have more time left or not, if we can continue talking or not.
Oh yeah, we're good to
Yeah?
go. Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Because I was wondering, apart from drones, we've been talking quite a lot about the drone sector right now. You've also talked a little bit about your portfolio consisting of a few electric vehicle stocks, for example. What other sectors are you most bullish about for the next like 5 years or so? Are those electric vehicles, or is there like another sector you're very interested in right now?
I would have to say definitely probably electric vehicles. And the reason I say that is just because I think that that's kind of the way we're heading here in the United States anyways, and I'm sure it is across the world.
Yeah.
I know China's very involved with electric vehicles and pushing companies like NIO, and Tesla's very involved, but then obviously you got Lucid Motors and all these different other ones that are I think that electric vehicles are, when you start to look at our current administration that we have here in the United States, that's a major push, is for clean energy, green energy. And so I do like that aspect, but I would have to say outside of electric vehicles, you're looking at those types of plays anyways. You're looking at things that are solar panel related, wind turbine type things. Anything that's really electrical grid related, like Clean Spark's a good example. I really like that entire sector because, we still have 3 more years to go. And if that's the push that we get, then from a stock investment standpoint, that's something you want to be a part of. So that's a lot of kind of what I'm in. But I do take a lot of different like options. Like I got into some crypto aspect from the stock side. So I was in Riot there for a little bit, Riot blockchain. Clean Spark is obviously doing some crypto mining themselves, even though they're really working on the microgrid. So that's kind of something that I've really started to look into. And I know YouTube from itself is kind of shifting that way, as well as a lot of people are, what's the next crypto? What's the next thing? So I really want to be diversified in that as well, because I do think that that's going to be very significant.
So far, you don't have like direct exposure to crypto, but just like Riot and Clean Spark, etc.
Yeah, I do actually have some direct
Okay.
through Coinbase and I got a Bittrex so then I could be a part of the Doge run, but
Ah, right. Of course.
yeah, who's not a part of that? But yeah,
Doge to the
yeah,
moon, man.
yeah. But my major, really, my major emphasis was to at least get some, exposure to like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and some of those plays because it's just a different form of investing, and it's a way to kind of get that exposure. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome, awesome. The last sector I want to talk about is YouTube, because we
Okay.
both have our YouTube channels, of course. But I'm wondering, why did you start your YouTube channel?
Honestly, after what we kind of talked about earlier, from an investment standpoint, I knew going into it, I didn't know a lot. I still am learning myself how to break down charts and understand, certain candles and things like that. One thing I did know is that I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy giving positive, positive information and helping people out. I mean, that's a big reason why I wanted to become a teacher when I realized, hey, this is something I wanted to do is because I enjoy helping and giving back to people. And
Hmm.
so obviously the pandemic hit and it not necessarily freed up a lot of time, but I knew it freed up a lot of time for certain people. And I wanted to be able to just kind of give back in that way is just to talk about stocks and do that. So I really started doing it, not knowing what it was going to become or even really what was going to come from it.
Cool.
But I just wanted to, yeah, I always did want to do a YouTube channel, whether it was sports related or something. I just never knew that it was going to take off into stocks, let alone take off into stocks and then eventually into drones.
So, what does the Drone King look like in 2030 with his YouTube channel?
Whew, man, I hope, honestly, for me, it's nice to be able to be monetized, but a big thing that I enjoy from it is growing the community. And hopefully I am able to do this full time to continue to build and grow the community. I live stream every Friday night as much as I possibly can. And the community that pops in, it's very positive. And we really kind of just it's almost like a digress of the week. Like we talk about stocks, we talk about everything, but it's nice to just kind of like, oh, it's Friday, we're heading into the weekend and
Yeah.
just kind of talk. So I'm, hopefully in 2030, I wouldn't even want to project how many subscribers I have or anything like that. I'm just hoping and that I'm full time and that, I'm able to do YouTube and other things. I have some other things I want to work on.
Cool.
So
Anything you
yeah, I
can
hope
share with us, or is this a secret project?
no,
Do
not
you have a
necessarily secret.
non-disclosure agreement?
Yeah. Well, if it is, I gotta go. But no. Yeah, honestly, I want to kind of take it to more of a I I'm kind of creating it now with my channel. And I think you're going to start to see it happen more often on this channel is I'm going to still talk stocks and do things like that during the week. But I'm going to start encompassing more drone plays.
Hmm.
And it's not necessarily that they're going to be public. It's just I'm going to start covering drones and the companies in general. And I'm going to start doing that a little bit more on the weekend. One thing I've started to learn is that when the weekend hits, people do not care about they honestly do not care about stocks on the
Yeah.
weekend. And so I wanted to still be able to make videos and give back to like the drone sector. If you go out there and look, I almost would like to become more of a journalist in that aspect and be
Hmm.
able to just have interviews and report on what's going on within the sector because everything we talked about in this entire interview it's coming. Like this isn't something that we're making up or imagining is going to happen. Like this is actually happening and it's just a time span to which it's going to happen. So I think it's even when I started looking up AgEagle videos myself and I came across yours, I think it's significant that you're covering it as well, and because not a lot of people are covering it.
True.
And when it does happen, we're going to be like, people are going to start looking and they're going to see, hey, look, here's these videos that we've been able to cover. So yeah, that's kind of how I want to eventually take the channel. I still will talk stocks. I think at some point and maybe I'll end up having two channels. But for right now, that's kind of the what's in the works.
So, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but you are located close to Wichita?
Yeah, I'm actually only
Okay.
like 3 hours away.
Well, 3 hours for me is quite a lot still, but suppose
Yeah.
in the United States it's not that much.
No, it's
But
like for me it's like a direct shot. So yeah, I
yeah,
just hop on the highway and I can head straight there if I wanted to.
have you ever been to AgEagle or not?
Not yet. I've been
Okay.
to relatively close to where they're at because I've
Hmm.
been to Jabbar Airport.
Yeah.
And I've been around that area, but I haven't been to. So when I was playing college baseball, we would go out to that area to play all the time. But since then, I haven't obviously, gone to Wichita just to go to Wichita.
Yeah, that could be cool to do like a real life interview at the facility of AgEagle, of course, at some point in the future.
Yeah, I've talked to Ian Anais. He's a CEO and the co-founder of Zing, and they're
Okay.
based out
Hmm.
of St. Petersburg, Florida.
Right.
And they got on to the project that was being done with AgEagle here in Kansas for Beyond the Visual Line of Sight. And that's one thing that I talked to him about in my interview. He said that, maybe at some point you could come out and watch us test flights and do things. And he's like, maybe I can introduce you to Michael. And,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, so there's a lot of things that I think could happen. It's just if it happens, you know what I mean?
Right. Wow. That's awesome. That would be awesome. I would like love to see that.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I really enjoy talking to Ryan too. I think anytime I
Yeah.
talk to Ryan, it's significant just because I think stuff is constantly happening with Valkyrie and their whole entire thing that they're trying to accomplish there. So
Yeah, I think he's a
um
great guy too.
yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
Okay, so before I let you go, do you have anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
Um
Or are we
honestly,
good to go?
I would say that if because I know we both cover different things. I think the more and more that drones become relevant, I think it's just something to consider is that each one provides something, and I think each one is unique to what they do. We really didn't talk too much about Dragonfly, but I think
Hmm.
Dragonfly has a very significant role from a medical standpoint. And I think you're going to see some companies that really focus down on a niche that they become really well at what they do. And that's a reason maybe to invest in because they're good at that. So,
Right.
just I think drones are definitely coming. Like we talked about, I think drones are going to have a very significant piece at this point. If it is from an investment standpoint, look at what you would invest in for whatever reason. AgEagle is a good one, but yeah, there's tons of options out there too. And so that's one of the biggest things is just kind of do your homework because there are a lot of companies out there.
Do your homework. Those seem pretty good words to end this beautiful interview with. I'd like to thank you for your time. I'm going to put your channel in the description, of course, so that people can actually find the Drone King. You should actually probably change your name on YouTube.
I thought about it, but I do still cover other things. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want people to
Maybe for a
think
second
that
channel.
yeah, yeah. Maybe, down the road, I think that definitely could happen. So
Yeah, awesome. Okay, man. Thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you in the next interview.
yeah, I really appreciate you having me. I really do. It means a
No
ton. And,
problem.
these collaborations are significant, I think, for YouTube because we come together and get to share ideas, but we also get to meet each other. So
For sure.
thank you. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you. All right. We'll see you in the
All
next
right.
one.